Hi guys, and welcome back to What's Still Cooking. Sorry that we've been MIA, but what happened was we actually filmed a couple of recipes and didn't realize that the microphone was off, or we had our finger over it, or you know, it just wasn't working. But we're back, and we're gonna do the Mexican rice recipe, which everyone has asked us for. So here are the ingredients, and come on over here. Okay, we're gonna use 1 cup of rice. We're gonna use a little bit of onion, sazon, and this sazon really, you don't have to use it, it's more optional. I like it because it gives it a brighter color to your rice, and it just has, it's just Mexican spices. Okay, you're gonna need some garlic. You can use fresh garlic, or you can use just some garlic like so. We're gonna use some chicken bouillon, a can of mixed vegetables, and in here I have about 1.5 cups of water and 3 Roma tomatoes. And practically what we're gonna do is we're gonna blend this up and go from there. So in my pot I have just a little bit of oil. So let's start with the ingredients. So basically what I'm gonna do is just add a little bit of garlic, or you could use 1 to 2 cloves of garlic for your sauce. And normally the rule of thumb that we've been following is for every cup of rice we've been using about 2 cups of water, so that way it's nice and tender and it doesn't dry out and you have plenty of fluid in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil this up, and then I'll come back to tell you what to do with the rest of this stuff. Actually, I forgot the sazon, so I'm all over the board, guys. I was telling Kenny it feels kind of weird doing this, but this guy will go in eventually. See, I'm telling you, I'm all screwed up. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna blend this up. All right, so this is blended. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on my stovetop, or in this case, my induction top. And like I said, I've got a little bit of oil already in there. I'm going to add just my thin slices of onion, and what the onion's gonna do is just give it a little bit of extra flavor to it. And what I'm also going to add is my rice. I don't wash mine. I just, in order to get a nice toasting on it, we use it the way that it comes. But a lot of people do wash theirs. For us, we just like to do it like so. And what you're trying to do is, come over here so I can show you a little bit. You're going to toast these little grains up. We use long grain rice. So long grain rice is what, white rice is what we use. And what you want to do is, right now, again, it's white, so you want it to be a nice golden color. So once that's done, we will come back to this little recipe. So this rice is already turning to its color that we want it to. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit. I don't want it to get too dark, but this is what you're looking for. At this point, you can stir as much as you want. It's not going to hurt your rice, but once you add the liquid, don't stir as much. You stir that one time and then don't stir, because what can happen is you're going to break up your rice and then it's going to turn into mush. Alright, what I'm going to do is add this in. This side does not want to get out. Alright. There we go. So I'm going to mix in about half a scoop of chicken bouillon, and then you can just taste it to see how the salt is. I'm going to add my vegetables. And I think this guy's going to need just a little bit more water, because it was about 2.5 cups in there of water, so I'm going to add about half a cup of water. Here's what it looks like if you want to zoom in a little bit. Alright, about half a cup of water. And then let it come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, you are going to cover it and turn it down to simmer. And it needs a little more salt. So for us, I'm just going to add a little bit more bouillon just to give it a little bit more of flavor. Alright, let it come come to a boil. And here's the thing about the rice, okay? So many times I just gave up on making rice and taught Kenny how to make it because he was able to make it. And I think for me it was, more of the type of pot that I was using. So the pot or the pan that I was using before, it was really, my rice was sticking, it was turning very, very mushy. The amount of water that I was putting was way too much, and it was overcooking my rice. So my husband taught me a little something, something, and here it is. Now I can make rice. At least I think I can. So check this rice out. It's starting to cook. The boil. And like I said, I'm going to just turn it up a little bit so that it boils faster. And since it's an induction top, it's going to do things a lot faster than your normal stove top. I mean, we have a gas stove and that takes a little bit longer, but this is going to take a little bit less. And the way that you know that your rice is done, it's about 15 to 20 minutes. Once you 15 minutes, check to see if your rice, if all the water has disappeared, and make sure that it's, just move your spoon like so and make sure that it's not sticking at the bottom. But right now, this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna let it boil just a little bit longer, and then, like I said, put the lid on it and cook it for 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll be back to let you know what this puppy looks like. So now I'm gonna turn it down to simmer. See you guys back in just a little bit. Alright, so my rice was cooking for about 15 minutes, and here's what it looks like. Come on over. You see this beauty? My rice has actually been turning out. So what I'm going to do is take a little scoop here. Look at that. Whole grains. It's nice. Let's taste this bad boy. I don't know. I get into words and I keep repeating them over and over again. Anyway, here we go. Mmm. Nice and warm. It is delicious. Mmm. Obviously, rice and beans are a staple in a Mexican meal, so this rice can be eaten with anything. Anyway, go over to the blog and check out the recipe. If you want any more recipes, just let us know. Other than that, thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.